Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lighting Your Sunshine, where we like to shine a light within and empower ourselves. So for today's download, because I did get a download, where should we start? Okay, so Spirit was showing me a picture. They showed me the bigger picture. The thing that kind of triggered it was in one of the previous readings, it said the highest good of all. And so they started showing me, right, when you're really enmeshed in a situation, you can't see the bigger picture. And things sometimes happen to us. Sometimes we're stuck in karmic loops or cycles, or I don't know, just sometimes shitty things happen. And so we got to do that inner work, that shadow work, right? That stepping back and surrendering. When we get into that observation phase, that's when we can really start to see how we're all connected. Right? So like I said, maybe something not ideal happens in your story, but what matters is how you pick yourself back up, how you heal, and like every day is a brand new day to start over, right? And so that's kind of what I saw, is like every day just kind of going on your healing journey, doing your thing, and from that it distanced you. Then they said that saying where I might butcher it because I always butcher it. But sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. Like you need that bigger perspective. And so that's what I saw. I saw this scene or situation that you didn't understand why things happened to you the way that it did. And so once you kind of removed yourself, and that removing yourself was the whole journey or cycle that you needed to complete. It was that detachment from whatever it was that you were so enmeshed in. And so they showed me this picture. And now that you have a higher perspective, a clear image, they showed you can see why everyone played their hands the way that they did. And it's not saying that you need to like go back in and find, like forgive those people and bring them back into your story. I feel like the whole purpose of that was like removing yourself from it just so you can actually be aware and see it. Because from there, I saw the picture. I saw the whole picture. And it kind of gave off yellow, brownish, sandy desert vibes. Golden, I don't know. That's what I saw this picture. And so all of a sudden there was like this frayed thing. And they came up to me and they gave it to me. And I pulled it and it turned out that it was, that this picture was like a tapestry made out of all threads woven together. So when I pulled this thread, it created right up the picture, based on wherever the thread was. I guess you could pull from here and go this way. And that's what I'm seeing like collectively. And so this thread was your part in it. So as I did that, as I kind of pulled this thread that they gave me, the Norns came in. So the Norns are like fate or destiny. They're the ones that sit at the bottom of the tree of life. And I'm going to say this wrong, Yggdrasil in Norse mythology. They sit at the bottom and they weave, right? Past, present, future. You don't understand why everything happens. And sometimes there are things outside of our realm, right? Things are up to destiny or fate. And that's what the Norns do, right? They sew this tapestry and then it builds and builds and builds. And somewhere in this tapestry, like you're a part of it, right? You create and you loop and you do whatever. There are some things that are like destined or events that you need to work through, but you also have a bit of say. And so that's what they were pretty much showing, is like, as they gave me that thread to pull, that like, what did they show it? It's like you taking your energy back out of that whole picture. You saw the bigger picture, but I almost saw like, it's like a treasure map or like a scroll or something. I saw that kind of paper, papyrus paper, and like ripping it in half and it no longer having power. So now as I said that, as that scroll, I'm seeing it as like a sacred contract being ripped up. And so a lot of the times they talk about, you know, cord cuttings and attachments and things like that. But in this one, it's almost like you have soul lessons and purpose and things like that, karmic loops and cycles. And it's like your energy in it. Like that's woven into the fabric. And that person like complemented your energy at that time. So that's what they showed. So you can keep cutting cords, right? Keep clearing yourself, right? We'll always say that. But in this one, it's not quite cords. It is, but it isn't. So let's just kind of go a little bit more into this. Whatever. Maybe it'll unfold. It kind of did a little bit, actually. No, it definitely did in my thing. But then as I kind of came into here, I had forgotten all about the Norns coming in, the fate and the weaving, and you taking that thread and ripping up that picture pretty much. It was a piece of art. It was done. It was complete. But now it's like you taking your energy back. And now you have this thread, and you can add this thread wherever you want and create something new. I'm almost seeing like it being woven in your sleep. Don't be scared that your picture's gone, that you'll just have a new scene. Like I just see almost, what am I seeing? I'm seeing silk worms or spiders or whatever weaving webs, and like that's what I see. I see something like, whereas the other one was like papyrus and paper, and I felt like it was like contracts and ripping that contract. The next one I'm seeing, this thread, is like a silver thread. And silver, anyways, there's something about silver I'm not quite getting these last couple of weeks. I think I am, but whatever. Let it come out if it's meant to come out. Anyways, back to my thing. Oh yeah, the silver thread or silk thread or whatever this is. It's like stronger and it's shinier, and it's like, I almost see like the moon or something shining on it, and like this picture has shimmers or depth, or like, you know, like it almost is like an ocean scene with like, I'm seeing darkness. I'm seeing like night, moon, stars, the ocean, and it's like it hits this picture and it like shimmers. Yeah. Anyways. And so you get to make a new one. And this is like new soul lessons, new things. So if you have a hard time and you've always been like cutting cords and those kind of things, and it just didn't seem like you're quite getting something, this is like that, but like 2.0. Like you've done more of like the surface level thing, right? The cutting cords is almost like you removing yourself from the forest, right? You can't see the forest or the whole picture. And that's what cord cutting does, right? It creates that space for you to see finally everything. But now we're going into like contracts and karmic loops and whatnots. And so, yeah, that's the download I saw. And so I see the collective, they're like telling you that you've done a lot of your own soul healing on this journey. And so they're kind of handing you a thread. That's why I said, I'm like, oh, and I pulled it, went straight up and just like split things in two. But a part of like maybe a message that you can give to yourself. Imagine your picture, right? Just how would we do this? I say put yourself in the column of light, right? Imagine a column coming through your crown, works through all your chakras, right? Through your body. And as it goes through each part of your body, it like clears out all the junk and the old energy and maybe the things that were cords from other people, right? Push that all down into the earth, to the very, very center of the earth. You can use a visualization of whatever you want to do. Do you want to anchor it there? Do you want it to all burn up and whatever? Right? Use your imagination. What's your connection that will work best with you, so that your mind and heart can agree on the same healing path? And then from there, pull all that energy back up from the center of the earth. It's been transmuted and it's clean and clear now. We're going to bring that back up through our feet and like anchor it into our root. And I feel like once you have that good anchor, right, it's kind of like roots and whatnot, we want to pull that energy up into our heart. I forgot to say to anchor the top into the heart and then go, right, we want to anchor the top into our heart and then the energy from the earth into our heart. And this is where we stay and this is where we live. This is our energy of navigating. And so, yeah, once you kind of find yourself in that, you're in this like light vehicle Merkaba. This is your power center. And now it's really good when you're in this state to visualize. So as they said, here's your picture. You finally can like detach because you've cleared yourself from the clutter and the energy. And so look at the picture, right? What is your picture? What's your scene? And And as you do it, just observe the picture. There might be some insights that come to you that say why you learned what you learned. It might not seem as, I find a lot of the time when you're like really up close to it, it seems like it's such a huge deal. But when you distance yourself, you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And it might be just like easy to let that go. But yeah, and from that, bring in your guides of the highest white light and ask them to give you one of the threads that you're ready to unravel. And so I guess you can kind of be doing it as we're talking, or take time afterwards to kind of just do this visualization. I feel like pay attention to how the thread unwinds. Where does it go? What is your picture? All these things. What is the lessons? And so, yeah, we're going to pull cards too. And so the cards they told me when I went to it, I was like, should we get the Viking ones out? And they're like, no. That's the energy that's kind of like holding space for this reading. But they wanted us, they just said, use the red ones. So the first one I was drawn to was the Archetype cards. The second one was the Hermetic Tarot. And then last but not least, we've got this 3D Tarot. So all the red cards. And so that kind of reminded me of that Chinese proverb about there's a thin red line that connects all of us, right? When we have a soul bond, a soul connection, they say it can twist and turn and whatever, but it never breaks. And I feel like that's what the tapestry was. It's like you have this thread with this person to teach your soul whatever that lesson was that you needed to learn. It's almost like fate or destiny, but you also have say and control over this as well. And so when you've finally had enough, when you've learned it, you can pull that thread. You can change your story. You can make a new picture, whatever it is. And so, yeah. Let's use these cards. And what did I want to focus on? I want to focus on more so of the process of how maybe to interpret the thread and the new something, right? I don't want to focus on the past so much. I want to focus on once that thread and interpretation, and I want going forward and healing. It might talk on past, but that's my intention. I mean, it's pretty vague. It could be open to so much. And I love open-ended vagueness of letting spirit kind of tell me more rather than pigeonhole it so tiny. So I'm hearing 3, 2, and 4. One, 2, it's that one, at 3. 2. That one clear. Oh, that's 2. Those 2 flew out. And 4. One, 2. Come on. These sound like, I used to have a guinea pig because these are like 3D, so it's like that sound and my guinea pig. That's what it kind of sounded like. But I need 2 more, but maybe I'm not meant to pull them yet. It's not coming out, and I'm not going to waste time. Okay, wait, I'm going to try one more time. I'm not wasting time. This is purposeful. There's one. There's chariot in reverse, which is like not moving, not going forward. And last, oh, that one tried to jump. Okay. So let me show you what we're working with. So first one to come out for the archetype, and I feel like that's the cycle or the lesson or the karmic thing. Like there's 2 sides to the archetype cards. There's the light attribute and the shadow, and we need to integrate both of them within us to find that wholeness. And so the first one that came out was Child of Nature in reverse. So shadow tendency of the child, because there's a, okay, so there's a couple child in this one. There's like the magical child, the whatever, they're not all coming, but there's lots of them. And so here we have the child of nature, and that's like inner child. And so from there, we've got child of nature in reverse, we've got damsel, and then the last one to come out is virgin, which as I see that, like something about the inner child being like taken advantage of, or, you know, needing saving, right? Because we got this damsel energy. And so that's why people come into us, right? To teach us to learn to love the journey, both sides, good and bad. And so the Virgin card coming out, what I see that is as that cord is pulled and ripped, clear slate, right? Clarity, back to basics. So the child of nature in the shadow attribute is not saying that this is you, but let's just read the card. Don't take things too seriously, but maybe there's like a smidge of something. So don't use discernment, right? You know your story. Or maybe you attracted these kind of people. And I'm hearing that it's both for both cases, that some of us had this a little bit in us, and then the others were people that we attracted. Because below it in the Hermetic Tarot, I have the Sun, and then to clarify that, I have the Empress. So you know what? I'm kind of getting that you started off in this Empress energy, and especially with the Sun. The Sun says, Lord of the fire of the world. And here they are just dancing around, spinning, twirling, everything's fine, and it's good. And so I want to read the light attribute, and then we'll get into the shadow one, because I don't know, the first one triggered me, and I was like, that's not me, but let's see. Maybe it's not you either. Especially if you have the Empress energy and the Sun. So if you're like in this really loving, happy, like whatever energy, I could see others seeing that and being like, either two things. I want that energy, or I hate that energy, and I'm going to take it from them. And so it's like building that bond with someone, right? Maybe you needed to learn unconditional love, or you needed to learn boundaries. So in the upright, this inner child, the one connected to nature, it's all about friendships with animals, communication, and nature spirits, right? That's the elemental and spiritual realm. I'm seeing, just mostly elemental energy coming through. And in the shadow attribute, it said tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. So the shadow is saying, it was the abuse animals. When I read that, I'm like, ugh, like I don't want to read on any of that kind of freaking energy. Like that is just never okay. And that's what I'm seeing, is like a tendency to abuse. So here we have the damsel. So how do you go from, I really feel like actually, like it said, when we view the world outside of us and we see something that's a shadow aspect that we don't like, we have it within us a little bit. And so that's why we may attract those kind of people, because we need to heal or learn something from it. Because right beside the Empress is the Judgment card in reverse. You know what? I kind of just want to tell you all my cards, because I'm going to jump around. And so, okay, so we got the Child of Nature, we've got the Damsel, and then we've got that Virgin energy, that clearing of the thread, clearing the karmic loop. The next one, we have the Sun with the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords says, Lord of Peace restored, right? We're clearing our energy back, because somewhere along the lines, we got into this damsel energy. And so I feel like I need to get like in here. Then we have the Empress. We had Judgment in reverse. We had the Chariot in reverse. And then we had the Moon in reverse, which the Moon is all about illusions. So that's clearing up illusions and having peace restored. So shadow attribute to the damsel with this sun. I see you being very sunny, being very loving and nurturing, and I feel like it's a boundary. It was like I needed to have boundaries because, like I said, there's two people that kind of see that. Three, like ideally we'd want that person to see that and like love that and like be like, you know what, I have something to offer this, and you have this perfect healthy relationship or friendship or bond, whatever it is. But we got the damsel. I'm not getting that it was two bonds that were equally matched in this. So the damsel in the upright in the light attribute is understanding the nature of healthy romance. It inspires you to rely on yourself. So somewhere along the lines, okay, now it's coming together. I should have just read that top line. I feel like you are a magical child of nature. You had that elemental vibe going on, right? Fairies, like it just seemed like you had this like really lighthearted, and here you are dancing around in the sun, almost like a maypole, you know, those things with all the with threads, and those all threads, like that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like a happy scene, and weaving this tapestry, and you were with someone, but this person, they had a tendency to be a little bit abusive. It says that they like to control things, right? People, animals, and their environment. So no matter what was in their environment, they kind of came in and was like, I need to control this. And so the main thing for you in this tapestry, it's almost like I see everyone flowing together and doing good in this little sun dance, this little maypole dance. And they were like, hey, you stop that. I don't like it. And from that, it really made you question things, because they're like, rather than weaving in and out and things flowing nicely, they're like, this is how it has to be done. And then, I don't know, they got this new pattern or algorithm or something, new belief. And it made the picture be weird. You have the bigger picture, and you realized, you're like, oh, like it's just not as, it's not as sunny and loving and heart-centered as I anticipated. I thought things would be a little bit more happy. I expected a happy picture, but in this picture, you learned your lesson. You learned the soul thing, because you really needed to like reach into yourself and find that peace. Because I feel like every time you'd be on that maypole and you'd be like doing your thread and doing your thing, and you'd finally learn what they wanted, they'd be like, nope, we're switching up the pattern again. And it's just like, no matter what you did, it was like you were always wrong. You weren't doing it right. And so I see you trying to like, right, you're in this Empress energy, and you're just trying your best. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's almost like, how did this one energy take the most happy, loving energy in this reading in the deck, right? The Sun card is like the end. It's like the happiest, most vibrant card. And then the Empress is the most loving and nurturing and patient and understanding. To take that energy that's like, I've got so much to give, I've got so much happiness, I've got so much joy, and then put them in this damsel situation. And so I'm now seeing, right, they're both blonde, I'm seeing someone start to doubt themselves. And now that's where the cords and attachments and things outside of us start to build, and that's where we gotta start doing those clearings. But once we keep clearing from them, like we've still entwined that thread in our book. Like, because I see that Pyrus paper. It could be your Akashic records, it could be a soul contract, it could be whatever it is, like this thread. And usually, right, especially in that Chinese proverb, it's like the thread could bend and twist and it'll never be destroyed. But here with judgment in reverse, you weren't quite a judgmental person, but Spirit's seeing you be like really hard on yourself, and that whole being hard on yourself was for you to find that duality within, right? Especially like trusting your intuition. I'm seeing the Empress, And the Empress is so loving and open. But the opposite of the Empress I'm seeing is the High Priestess. She didn't come out, but the High Priestess has that balance of the light and the dark. They can work in the light attributes, and then they can also navigate the shadow world. And so to go within your shadow, because I feel like the shadow said is that you are not competent enough to make plans or create your own reality, right? You aren't responsible enough to put this tapestry together. You go and do and say what I say, and you're like, at the beginning you're like, okay, like we're in this together, we're both trying to fill each other's cup up. But then by the end, I feel like you did all the sewing and you did all the work and you did all the things, and you're like, but why is my cup empty? So yeah, and then that judgment within yourself. Let's see. I'm hearing the call. And then, okay, yeah. So it's like, all right, you've gone around this pole so many times, and finally it's done, right? The lesson or the whatever is done. So now they're like, hey, let's look at our painting. And you looked at your painting and you're like, oh, like, remember in the silk one, it's more shiny and sparkly and like those kind of things. I feel like that's more moon energy. And that's what that person taught you. Whereas you were very much in the sun before, and it may have been kind of like false positivity. And you thought, you know, I'm so happy, and I'm only going to focus on the happy and the positive and those kind of things. And from it, you thought that when you saw your picture that the sun and the gold would have reflected something really, really cool. But instead you're like, what is this? I don't like this. I don't feel like this. I feel like I'm so disconnected from my magicalness, from my inner child. My inner child would never say, you're not good enough to do what you want. They would never tell you, give up all your power and only rely on outside sources. Your picture would never be that. But we live in a world, right? Like, I don't know, I'm seeing school for some reason, right? We go to school and we have to listen to our teachers and we have to do what they say, and we got our parents and we got our bosses and we got all these people, and sometimes they're just trying as hard as you are, right? So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you finally getting to that bigger picture. You were like, I'm not a damsel, I gotta clear myself, I gotta take my power back, and you didn't judge the other people. Because if anything, that would have made you be the shadow aspect of this. Waiting for a knight to provide for you. Seduction by romantic illusion. You're like, I kind of maybe thought that this person was going to come and save me and change everything. But in the end, I had to come and save myself. And because you had that realization, you had that from that aha moment, you're clear, the energy. That's why the Norns are coming up. And they're like, we gift you with this thread. They were going to do it. They were going to sew it for you based on repetitive patterns. But it seems like you really finally learned this lesson about judgment. And so that's why this picture finally gets to be unraveled with the Chariot. Chariot is all about movement and going forward. And this is like, all right, we need this peace to be restored. Right? You're not a damsel. You've taken your power back, and we're going to nurture that inner child a little bit. And so to go from being controlled in your environment, right? Having someone, and that's what I get, is like, I get like they may not even have been nice to animals, right? And if they're not going to be nice to animals, they're not going to treat people nice, right? Everyone, I don't know, it's a red flag. So, by doing that, removing yourself, clearing all that, going back, pulling that thread, now you get to sew your own, right? We've got that silver one kind of coming in, right, with the moon in reverse. No more illusions. In fact, everything's really sparkly and shiny and clear now. So now, I feel like that connection, right? As it says, light attributes, friendships with animals, communication with nature spirits. So the nature spirits that I'm seeing is the Norns at the bottom of the tree, right? Yggdrasil, the tree of life, that's nature, and that's life. And so I see that communication with you is what that says. Communication with nature spirits. And they're like, we gift you with this new opportunity to create a new picture, a new tapestry. So once you take that, I feel like all you got to do is just pull it. It's like, I almost see like, start a new business or something and you got that big ribbon and all you got to do is cut it. Hey, I'm seeing like a big red bow and you get to cut it. And like that just means like something new, a celebration. And all these are red. There's something to do with cutting this red cord and pulling this cord and making something new. So in the attribute, in the light attribute, it says maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. So what I don't know, let's see. I don't know if you can even read, but what I got from that is like, well, there's the love, right? There's that Empress energy coming back, and symbolic purity of heart and spirit. I talked about how the Empress reminded me of the High Priestess, right? How she has to balance. I was going to say battle, but maybe it was a battle. Maybe it was a battle for your soul of like light and dark. Like, how can I maintain and navigate this? I feel so torn. I feel like a damsel. I'm being controlled. I'm so annoyed. I used to be so happy and now I'm so like in the moon and like, I want change. I want things to go forward. Why am I stuck on the same thing? And there was a little bit of discernment between courts and bonds, or not bonds, the karmic lessons. So I see that purity coming back as you finally learning the lesson, and because you've learned the lesson, there's no need to continue it. And so there is that judgment was called, and it was like, no, we get a redo. Here you go. And so not everyone really gets to control this thread. Like, we do have say, we do have like, right, we can work on our heart center and our mind and our energy and like manifest and whatever, that not. But when it comes to the Norns, past, present, future, it's best to do, I don't know, I'm seeing the inner child come in. And the more that you have that inner child, that magic spark, that trust and that belief, I almost see that as like more innocence, right? And so that comes back to this virgin energy, as it said, purity of heart and spirit. It's like you cleaned up your spirit, and so that's why now you get this opportunity to work with the Norns. Whereas before, it's almost like maybe they would have let you run around that pole and do what you wanted with the ribbon that you had, but you didn't really get much say of the pattern. Yes. And so now they're saying like, okay, you've done awesome. And so there's a, right? We're taking, the cords are clear, the spirit's clear, there's a purity of heart. Especially with the High Priestess, it's like you've navigated your shadow, you've incorporated it, you didn't like deny it, right? Because I feel like whoever was trying to control, it could cause you a lot of anger and like, again, blaming energy or victim mentality or something like that. But instead you're like, nope, I'm going to take accountability for myself. And so you took yourself out of this damsel energy and you said, I'm freaking sunshine. And so from that sunshine, it halted everything. By you taking back your golden light, your everything, that's when it stopped. And then the moon, that's when you stop the illusions. You're like, I'm in this painting or this tapestry. I keep saying painting, but it's made of thread and it's all woven. But it's easily undone. It's not easily undone. It's a lot of soul work, but it can be changed. And they're saying like, this is almost like, they always say like a tiger can't change its stripes, but you're human, you don't have stripes. You can change your karmic lessons and bonds and soul journeys all the time. Just do the inner shadow work, right? Shine that sunshine. Light your sunshine. So, what are we at? 30 something minutes. Anything else that I just need to? The Virgin in the shadow aspect. I don't feel like that this applies, but I feel like maybe because as this inner child was taken, maybe this started off in the shadow as well. And so the shadow says fear of intimate union. And it's almost like, I feel like that inner child, once things kind of got swapped and like controlled and those kind of things, it started to think that if this was a love relationship, that this other person knew more or better for you. And it said fear of intimate union. It was almost like, well, no one's gonna like my light. I'm too much. I'm too something. I feel like it was like so good. You were in this happy fairy energy. Okay, wait. I saw happy fairy energy, just like a happy child, inner child, and then I saw someone else kind of come in, and you thought that you guys were the same or a match or something, but this person was in fact not as airy fairy and happy as you, and so that's maybe a little bit where the sunshine dials start to go down, and then it was like this person was always sad or something, and you're like, well, I'm happy, like, cheer up. And so I just feel like all your time and attention went to like that. And that's where that kind of started building. And that's where they started to get a little bit more power. It was like you trying to cheer them up. You trying to be like, yeah. And so you learned whatever it was that you were meant to learn. Which was, as this said, understanding the nature of healthy romance. So in the shadow, the fear of intimacy, I almost feel like in some cases for some people that it's like, I went with that person because they showed me attention and I wanted attention, but you knew you deserved better. But it's almost like, I don't know, well, especially if you're with someone who's a little bit manipulative, as it said, tendency to try to control the outcome of everything, from people, the environment, and not being so nice to animals. And so, yeah, what a huge lesson to learn. And I feel like in most, as it said, most tapestries, people don't get this redo, this undo. You always can, but you have to do the soul work. And so I feel like this damsel energy. When was your rock bottom moment? Because that's what I see, especially when it comes to like damsel. It says like, you know, you're like, just keep swimming, right, Dory? Just keep swimming, and like all this stuff coming, and someone always like telling you what to do, and you're like, hey, just keep going, and then all of a sudden at this one moment you're like, damn, remember how I was like, I thought both of us were gonna come and fill each other's cups up, but you did all the work, and now you got the empty cup. And I feel like a tiredness came with that, and a shift and a change. And your inner child kind of started to say mean things to itself. And then from that, it kind of had like self-image and who are you in society, and how do you bring yourself around others and relationships. And so a little bit of it could have been toxic or codependent, or I don't know. We have so many different traits that we can do, right? Maybe it was too selfish, too something. I don't know. You know your story, so use discernment. And so there's, when you have your rock bottom moment, that's where you finally are like, I remove myself from being so focused and like fighting the good fight. That's what I kind of think. I feel like it was like you fought so much. You fought so much. And you thought at the beginning you were fighting for something, but really you were just fighting against what the inner child really wanted, and just being your happy magnetic empress energy, your power. You're fighting against you being powerful. So spirit with the judgment is like, nope, we gotta stop that. No more illusions. It's time to have this peace restored. We're taking off that blindfold. There's no more moon card. Normally in Two of Swords, it's someone who has two swords and they're blindfolded and they need to make a decision and they don't know what to do. The moon in reverse is like taking off that. So as this said, peace restored. Once you kind of had that pullback moment and you're like, oh, I don't know. How do you feel about your picture? Are you happy with what you see? Or when you see it, are you like, what the heck is that? And so, I don't know. But in the end, it's like you took back your power. By you taking your power back, it really made your inner child happy. And when you had that spark and that inner child back, that's where that purity and happiness came. And so I see that connection back to source, back to the Norns. And that's why you get this opportunity with this thread. You can erase things now because you've learned that lesson, or you can cut that bow or do whatever it is that you need to do. So good job. I feel like with this one thread pull, I feel like years taken off almost. And they're saying like be gentle with this new process, because as you pull this energy, like someone's gonna feel that ripple, right? It's gonna ripple through many different everything. Everything's going to change. And it's not that you just affect yourself, it's like you affected everyone who's kind of in that tapestry. But it's for the healthy. It's the highest good of all, is what I'm getting. So, yeah. Is there anything else, Spirit? Sometimes I like end it. I'm like, oh, I meant to say this thing out as well. But no, I see you coming back into your power. Oh yeah, and as you do that and you pull the thread, you might be tired, because there's like all this new energy that I feel like a lot of energy will start to like spill out. All that was on that thread, that's garbage. And so keep clearing yourself as we did that column to the heart, from the heart to the center of the earth. Ground that, transmute it, bring it back up, back into the heart. From here, that's our power. Our heart is our power. Started off very loving, but there's a new wisdom or wiseness coming with what a healthy relationship is. And so your new picture, be patient, because I feel like, again, a lot of that is just going to be like clearing out. And it's almost like when you think everything's been cleared out, something new might come up. And it's just remember to take a step back and just let it come up and out, because it's been pushed in there so long that now it's time to come to the surface. You observe it. It's like, oh, I didn't even know. Do I think that way? No, I don't think that way anymore. Okay, goodbye. Oh, I used to feel that way all the time. Every time I did this, it triggered me, and I used to get, oh, I don't feel that anymore. Look, goodbye. Hearing, drink lots of water, keep clearing your energy, and very much ground yourself. That's that roots and that anchor into the earth, and protect yourself. And so my best advice for protection is that column of light. As we said, go into that Merkaba, into your heart center, and just imagine a protective bubble around you. Because when you pull that thread, I feel like, no, Spirit said judgment will be called. There's no forward movement coming back. That those who you've cut out of that, they may call you, may reach out, right? When you cut cords, next thing you know, someone might call you, be like, hey, I'm not feeling your energy anymore. Well, that's not what they're going to say, but all of a sudden they're like, oh, I've been thinking about you all day. It's like, yeah, because you're not feeding off my energetic source anymore. So yeah, be nice with yourself and stand in your power when these energies come back, if they want to be part of your new tapestry. And be gentle, rest, and go forward back in this Empress Happy Sun energy, because you're clear. I hope that the past and the things that you went through doesn't cloud your vision going forward, right? This one said, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. You got this redo with that pull, and it's life-changing. You've changed. So remember your boundaries and always go back into that heart and go with love. So we'll leave it there. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.